Hey everybody, I see I've got some folks watching, trying to get my goofy iPad to connect with my wireless router. So it'll take just a second. But while that's doing its thing, let me talk to you about online extravaganza. Every year, Stampin' Up! Has the online extravaganza, and they have flash sales such as today. It started this morning at 12 o'clock, and it's running through tonight at 11:59 is when it's going to end, and that is Mountain Time. So the stamp sets are 20% off. So that's a pretty good deal. If there's any stamp sets that you're after, just pop on over to my blog and check out my online extravaganza blog post. And then I have a link there to different things that you can look at to see what's going to be on sale and that kind of thing. So anyways, that's online extravaganza. If you haven't jumped onto Stampin' Up! And looked to see what the deals are all about, you'll want to do that. All right, so now that that commercial is done, let's move on to our project. So I did a couple of different versions here. This one I did with some real red, and then I used very vanilla for the little sleeve that it slides in and out of, and stamped it in black, and then I just put like a little rhinestone right there. And then this is from oh, what are those little things called? It was a part of the Quilted Christmas suite, but I can't remember, some kind of embellishment. I forget what the name of them are. And then this one is the one that I want to do with you tonight. It's done with, I did this one with Very Vanilla. I'm going to do the one tonight with Whisper White. Did the snowflake with Whisper White, did some inking and kind of an ombre effect there, and then stamped it with some silver embossing powder. So this is the one that I want to do with you tonight. I don't know if you guys have ever done the ombre inking kind of thing, but I wanted to share it with you just in case you haven't. I forgot to get my trimmer so I can do my scoring. So I'm going to run back over here really quick and get my Stampin' trimmer so that I can do my scoring. And I need to clean it. It's got a little bit of ink on it, so sorry about that. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. All right, and it is dirty, as you can see. I'm going to take a couple of pieces of paper here and show you what I've got. First of all, my Whisper White, which this is going to be the box, and this is cut to 9 by 6. So we're going to start out scoring this on the 9-inch side. So I'm just going to pop that arm out there. And our first score line is going to be on 1 inch. I'm going to score it, lining it up on this side just because it's easier for me to hang on to my paper on this side of my trimmer. Then I'll flip it around, and I'm going to line it up at 4 inches. Then at, let me look at my cheat sheet, then at 5, and then at 8. So this box is a 3 by 3 inch square, and it's 1 inch deep. Okay, then I'm going to turn it around so the 6 inches across the top. All right, so I'm going to line this up at the 1/2 inch mark on this side of my scoring and cutting track. Then I'll flip it around and I will score at 1 1/2 inch. Then at 4 1/2. And finally at 5 1/2. Okay. Then for the little sleeve, you'll need a piece that is 3 1/16 of an inch by 8 3/4. Okay, so then on this one, I'm going to put it in so that 8 3/4 inches across the top, and this is Soft Sky, by the way. And your first score line is going to be at 3 1/16 of an inch, then at 4 1/8, then at 8 3/16. Did I miss one? Yes, I did. Wait, whoa. Let me back up. Then at 7 1/4, I did miss one. 7 1/4 inches, and then at 8 3/16. I hope I did that right. Did I do that right? Yeah, I did. I should have about a 1/2 inch left there. Okay, hopefully I scored that correctly. So that's all we're going to need that for right now. And Sugar just started barking. You probably heard her. One of Ella's friends is coming over and she's gonna color her hair. So I hope that I'm still in shot here. It looks like I am. This little piece of Whisper White. All right, Tony brought me his phone so that I can see what's going on. Okay, so I've got Karen and Fran. Hey girls, how are you? Definitely put together an order because, like I was saying in my little post, that when you get the discount that I'm giving you plus the discount that Stampin' Up! Is giving you, there's some things that you can save a lot of money on. So if there's anything in there that you want, grab it while the getting's good. So back to this, thanks Fran, thank you so much. I'm glad that you like my boxes. I love making boxes better than cards, but I like making cards too. I'm just not very great at it, but I try. So this piece is just a little scrap that I had left over when I cut out my box, and all I'm gonna be using this for is to cut out some snowflakes. So I'm just gonna toss that to the side for right now. Okay, so let's get this cut out first. What you'll do is, I'm going to cut straight up. There's a score line here, 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 and here. So I'm going to come to the second score line that's vertical from the right side and cut straight up till I get to the second score line from the bottom. Then I'm going to come up to that second score line I just stopped at, and I'm going to trim all the way up and get rid of this whole piece right here. Ella took my good scissors and she was using them for something, and these little ones, they're just not big enough. So I'm gonna do the same thing over on this side. And I don't know, well, I think we've talked about this before, that we have little craft room robbers. When Ella needs to make a project for school or do some crafting on her own, she hits up Mama's craft room, and then I'm running all over the place looking for stuff and don't know where it is, but she's got it. So then what we're gonna do is these other two score lines, just cut straight up each of those and then stop at the second horizontal score line again. Then I'm gonna fold this piece under because I'm gonna keep it. Then there's a couple of small little rectangles out there that I'm gonna cut off. And then I'm gonna, of course, do these with the little wedges cut out just like always. Alrighty, then flip it around to the other side and we'll do the same thing over here. And this is a very basic box, but I wanted to do something a little bit different with it. That's why I decided to make this little sleeve with a window in it for it to slide into, and then have my sentiment peeking out from behind that window. And I did not use any window sheet or anything like that. It's not really necessary. All right, so there's that. When you get done, this is what you're gonna have. Now I'm gonna use my Project Life corner rounder punch. If you don't have one, because this is a retired item, then use whatever corner rounder punch you might have. If you don't have a corner rounder punch, then you can always just cut these at an angle like you do when you're trimming those. But I like them rounded. I think it gives it a more finished and professional look, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my corner rounder even though it is a retired item. And I have sent a note to Stampin' Up! And asked them to please come out with another corner rounder because I used the stew out of that thing and I really miss not being able to really show it a whole lot because we don't have one. Okay, where is my bone folder? Right there. I'm gonna go ahead and get all of my score lines done. I'm sorry for all the interruptions tonight. Sugar started barking because one of Ella's friends came over, and then Tony realized that I was on a sinking ship, not being able to see what you guys were trying to say, and so he brought me his phone, but you know what, that was nice. Then I have this little piece. I don't have any cutting or anything to do to it as far as like these types of things here, making tabs. But we do need to run it through our Big Shot. So I'm going to just sit these couple of things to the side, grab my Big Shot real quick. I got it sitting down here in the floor. All right, let's make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Got my magnetic cutting pad or plate, then my cutting pad. I'm using a couple of different die sets tonight. I'm going to be using the Seasonal Tags Framelits dies, and all I'm using out of this are these two snowflakes, and then I'm going to be using the Layering Squares Framelits, and I believe it's this one. Let me double check myself. Yes, so this is the third from the largest square, so that's the one I'm going to use to cut out the opening in my box. And what you'll want to do is think about which piece is going to be the top. And the piece that I'm making the top is this one right here. And the reason why is because this little tab right there is going to come around and fold in down here, and I don't want a raw cut edge showing. So this will end up being the top. I'm going to lay that on there. And I can't get up over it to really see what I'm doing real well, so I'm hoping that I've got that centered up and that it'll be cut out and look right. Run that through. And I got a new desk, but it's a little bit wobbly, and I don't know why. I've got to figure out what's making it do that. So there's my window cut out. Just set that piece to the side, and let's go ahead and cut out our snowflakes while we have the Big Shot out. Let me just grab those two little snowflakes, and all you need is one of each. Unless, of course, you want to dress your box up a little bit more, but I didn't want to go crazy or go overboard. So I decided just to do one of each. All right, get those out. Now I'm done with the Big Shot. And I have this messy little box here, but I tell you what, I did not come up with this brainchild of an idea. I saw another demonstrator somewhere, sometime, have a little container with their die brush and their little sponge in it, and then all of these little bitty pieces that come out of all of your framelits and everything get left in the box, and then you can just dump it in the trash. So that was an awesome idea. All right, so we got that, got our snowflakes. I'm gonna set that over to the side, grab a scrap piece of paper, bring that over, and then get my box over here. I've got some painter's tape that I'm going to stick on here because the only place that I'm wanting to put the ink is right on the very top of my box. And I'm going to stick this to the back of my hand to take some of that stickiness away because I don't want it to tear my paper when I pull it back off. Sometimes you can stick it to your clothes, but I have found that for me anyway, if I stick it to my skin, I guess because of the moisture and the oils in my skin, it works better. So I'm just lining this painter's tape up right beside each of those score lines. And the three colors of ink that I'm going to use is Soft Sky, Tempting Turquoise, and Dapper Denim. So I'm going to start out with my Soft Sky first. And I have got, let's see which brush is which. I've got these little kind of, whatever you call these, little spongy things. I wanted to give these a try because inevitably every time that I use the Stampin' Up! Sponges, because of the way that I cut them, I always end up getting ink all over my fingers. So I decided to give these a try and see how I like them. So all I'm going to do right here is just spread this Soft Sky ink right around the bottom here, about the bottom third. And you'll want to go back and forth over it and over it. And you know something that I noticed, and I don't know if you girls have ever seen this before. Hey Vicki, how are you? Is when I first put this color on here, it almost has a splotchy appearance to it, as though the ink is getting resisted by the paper a little bit. So I was kind of disappointed, and I thought I must be doing something wrong. But this morning when I got up and I looked at my box again, I guess as the ink dries, it smooths out and it no longer has that little kind of a splotchy appearance to it. So if you're doing this and you don't like the way that it's looking, just give it a little while to get dry. Okay, I'm gonna get that inked up. I'm gonna rub a little bit of ink off because I don't want it to go on too dark at the get-go. And this does take some time to do. So this is not a project that you would want to make if you're in a hurry and you're headed out the door to somewhere and you need a gift box. This is one that you want a little bit of time to prepare. Then as I'm doing this ink, I'm making sure that I'm running it back into my first color and kind of getting those blended together. And just because I don't want to keep you gals here all night, I'm not going to really take as much time as I normally would. Actually, I'm going to leave that open. Then I'm going to open my Dapper Denim, and I'm just going to change out this sponge because I only have 2 of these little thingies. I didn't know if I was going to like them, so I only bought a couple. So I got to change my sponges out, and I probably just got ink all over my finger when I did that. But that's what soap and water's for. So let's see, Dapper Denim, where'd you go? So I'm going to put the Dapper Denim on the top. So have any of you ever done the inking like this before and tried the ombre kind of a look? Tape is wanting to come off of there, so I'm just going to do it like this. And I'm going to blend the Dapper Denim back down into the Tempting Turquoise. Okay, so for tonight, that's all that I'm going to do. If I wasn't live, I would take some time and really get those colors blended really well so that I could edit the video and cut out some of the time. But I don't want to do that tonight because it does take a little bit of time to get that done. You've not done the ombre, but you've played a bit with the skies. Yeah. Clouds and mountains. I gotcha. I don't do this technique a whole lot either because of the same reason. I haven't done it a whole lot, and I feel like I need to practice more before I do a lot of the landscape type of things. So yes, I haven't done a lot either. Now I'm going to take my heat tool and go ahead and dry this ink just a little bit, and then use my embossing buddy on top of it, and then I will be stamping my image and heat embossing it. So give me just a second to get this done. Just want to try to dry that ink a little bit, because if you all have done heat embossing, you know that when you're putting this much ink on your paper, it does take it just a little bit of time to dry, and I do not want my embossing powder sticking to the whole thing. So I'm going to put quite a bit of powder on there just to give myself some insurance. All right, so the stamp set that I'm going to use is the Merry Little Labels stamp set. I really like this. There is a punch that goes with this if you haven't seen this set before, and it's shaped like this right, well actually it's shaped like this right here, but it'll cut all of these out, and I've used a couple of them, but for tonight I thought Eat, Drink, and Be Merry would be good because I had planned on putting a treat of some sort in here, and that would be what I would give as a gift, so I just thought that this sentiment was appropriate to give a food gift. And I kind of think that the sentiment Eat, Drink, and Be Merry doesn't necessarily have to go with Christmas. You could use that any time of the year at all. So I'm just going to get this stamped down in the center, And I like holding it in place for just a minute and make sure that Versamark gets stuck to my paper. I'm gonna grab my embossing powder here, and I'm using silver. So we'll get that on there. Oh, that came out perfect. I don't mind using a lot of Embossing Buddy powder when I've got an image like this because it doesn't really show up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and heat set this just a second. Please bear with the noise. Lovely, lovely. While I'm letting that kind of get dry and set up a little bit, gonna grab some mini glue dots here and go ahead and stick my snowflake together. So I'm just gonna put one in the center of this larger snowflake, and then I'm going to stick the other one on top. And I forgot to bring my rhinestones over here. Let me grab them really quick. They're right here in this drawer. It'll take me a split second. I'm back already. And so I use the largest of the rhinestones to put right in the middle of that snowflake. And you know, you can use another color if you want to. You don't have to go with white. I just like the way that it looked and how it stood out against all the blues. So I'm gonna be using my fast fuse, and I took it over there to use it for something and didn't bring it back. That's what happens when you have a craft room and you have more than one workstation. You end up using things in different places and then forgetting to bring it with you. So what I did was I just cut these at an angle, and this is the little tab that's gonna hold my box together, and I sure do hope that I cut that right. I'm afraid that I didn't cut this end correctly. I think I'm off by about 1/8 of an inch. Yes, I am. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. I thought something was wrong when I scored that. I will correct the scoring when I do the PDF, because I must have either wrote something down wrong. I'm not sure what I did. I'm just gonna use my bone folder and score right beside where that is stuck down so that hopefully I can get that to fold right there. Okay, so we're just gonna pretend like this is perfect and that I didn't make a boo-boo, okay? All right, so now that we've got this done, I will put adhesive on each of my tabs. I'm telling you what, hey Debbie, hey, I'm going to get your items sent out to you probably tomorrow. My husband took off work this week, and me and him and Ella were in Nashville all day long. I literally got home just in enough time to get everything fixed and set up and ready to go here. So I will try to get those out in the mail tomorrow. All right, so all I did was assemble my box, and then these two little tabs right here that we did the little corner rounding on. Whenever I make a box like this that's going to fold over, I always make these extra little 1/2-inch pieces. And the reason why, and I didn't cut that very straight, is I don't want there to be a gap. So in other words, if that was not there, when you close your box, there's gonna be a little gap and you'll see down into the box, and this helps prevent that. Then I'm going to actually trim just a little bitty bit off of each end over here. And when I say a little bitty bit, I mean like a hair's width, basically. And the reason I'm doing that is to be able to tuck it down inside the box. So we've got that, we've got the sleeve. Hopefully it's gonna fit, and it does. Slide that in there. Use my mini glue dots again to put my snowflake on there. And I just put that right up here in the corner. And then our box is done. So I hope that you guys all have a fantastic Thanksgiving and enjoy your family. And I am thankful for y'all and thankful that Ella's getting well and that we are all healthy and happy. I love you, and I will talk to y'all again next week.